The observation deck of the Galactic Council's educational facility hummed with the soft chittering of a dozen species, each representative carefully documenting the peculiar behavior unfolding in the recreation zone below. Ambassador Velkoth of the Zentari Collective pressed his sensory stalks against the reinforced viewing panel, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with confusion. "I don't understand," he transmitted to his colleagues. "The human children, they're hunting each other." Beside him, Commander Thalrix of the Aqueous Dominion rippled her translucent membrane in what might have been agreement. "We were assured that humanity had evolved beyond their predatory origins, that they were civilized now. Below them, in a carefully designed play area meant to accommodate various species' offspring, 2 human children had transformed the peaceful space into something else entirely. Violet, a girl of approximately 8 solar cycles, crouched behind a synthetic rock formation, her green eyes scanning the terrain with an intensity that made Velkoth's primary hearts skip beats. Across the zone, a boy named Zender moved through the artificial foliage with deliberate steps, his head swiveling to track movement. "Target acquired," Zender whispered, though his voice carried clearly through the monitoring systems. He dropped into a tactical crawl that would have impressed military commanders across a dozen systems. Violet's lips curved into something the Galactic Council had learned to recognize as a smile, though on her young face, it resembled nothing so much as a predator baring its teeth before a strike. She gathered her legs beneath her, muscles coiling with potential energy. The other children in the recreation zone had long since learned to avoid the humans during what they called playtime. A Philoxian youth, barely past its pupal stage, trembled behind its guardian. 3 Korthon younglings huddled together, their collective consciousness buzzing with unease. "They call this tag," explained Dr. Winters, the human cultural liaison assigned to the facility. She had been summoned to the observation deck after the 3rd formal complaint that cycle. "It's a game." "A game?" Velkoth's translator struggled with his incredulity. "Ambassador Winters, your offspring are displaying advanced hunting behaviors. The boy Zender, he's tracking prey. The girl Violet, she's setting an ambush." Dr. Winters smiled that same unsettling expression. "Yes, that's rather the point." Zender froze mid-step, his head tilting slightly. He had heard something, a barely perceptible scrape of shoe against synthetic stone. His eyes narrowed, focusing on the rock formation. Most species would have dismissed the sound. But humans, Dr. Winters had tried to explain, possessed an almost supernatural ability to detect threats. It was a predator's gift. The Council believed that humans had abandoned such instincts, Thalrix said, her voice carrying an undercurrent of concern. "Your species petitioned for membership, claiming you had evolved beyond violence, beyond the hunt." "We have evolved," Dr. Winters replied calmly. "We channel it differently now." Violet exploded from her hiding spot with a burst of speed that shocked the observers. Her young legs pumped with mechanical efficiency, her arms reaching out like talons. Zender spun with reaction time that shouldn't have been possible for such a small creature. And suddenly both children were running, not away from each other, but in complex patterns that spoke of strategy and counter-strategy. The chase lasted 30 seconds. To the observers, it felt like watching a documentary on ancient Earth predators. The pursuit, the feint, the counter-move. Violet cut left, Zender anticipated. He juked right, she adjusted. Finally, with a triumphant cry that echoed through the observation deck like a war cry, Violet's palm connected with Zender's shoulder. "Tag! You're it!" Both children dissolved into laughter, that peculiar human vocalization that could shift from threat display to joy in microseconds. They high-fived, another human gesture that resembled combat more than celebration, and immediately reset for another round. "This is how they play?" Velkoth transmitted, his patterns now strobing red with alarm. "This hunting, this stalking, this constant combat simulation?" "We play hide-and-seek too," Dr. Winters offered helpfully. "That's where one child hunts while others hide. Sometimes we play capture the flag, which involves territorial acquisition and resource denial. There's also dodgeball, which develops threat assessment and evasion skills. Red Rover teaches pack tactics and defensive line breaching. King of the Hill establishes dominance hierarchies through controlled aggression. Stop. Commander Thalrix's membrane had gone completely opaque. "You're describing military training exercises." "Am I?" Dr. Winters tilted her head. Another gesture the aliens had learned meant humans were being deliberately obtuse. Or am I describing how children prepare for a complex world? How they learn spatial awareness, social bonds, physical limitations, and strategic thinking? Below, Violet and Zender had been joined by more human children who had arrived for the recreational period. Within moments, they had organized themselves into teams. Words like strategy, flanking, and defense floated up to the observation deck. A game of capture the flag began. The alien observers watched in horrified fascination as the human children deployed tactics that wouldn't have been out of place in advanced military simulations. They used terrain for cover. They communicated with hand signals. They set traps and ambushes. When Zender was tagged and eliminated, he didn't sulk. He immediately began analyzing what went wrong, already planning his next approach. Violet led her team with commands that were obeyed instantly, her authority unchallenged despite her young age. She had earned it through demonstrated competence, the same way human pack leaders had always emerged. They don't even realize what they're doing, Velkoth transmitted softly. It's instinctive. Exactly, Dr. Winters agreed. You asked if humans stopped being predators. The answer is no, we simply became civilized predators. We built societies, laws, ethics. We created art and music and philosophy. But underneath? She gestured to the children below. Underneath, we're still the species that hunted across ice ages, that tracked prey for days, that stood at the top of Earth's food chain not through strength or size, but through relentless, intelligent pursuit. This is deeply troubling, Thalric said. Is it? Dr. Winters challenged. Those same instincts make humans excellent problem solvers. That pack mentality translates to loyalty and cooperation. That predatory focus becomes dedication to goals. That hunting intelligence manifests as innovation and adaptation. You don't get humanity's best qualities without the foundation they're built on. Violet scored the winning point, her team erupting in celebration. Another display of pack bonding through shared victory. Zender congratulated her with genuine admiration, already asking to learn her tactics. The alarm ceased. Recreation period ended. The human children filed out peacefully, laughing and joking, appearing for all the world like the civilized beings they were. But the Galactic Council observers remained at the window, newly aware of what walked among them wearing the guise of friendship. They had invited humanity into the greater community, had welcomed them as equals. They had just never stopped to wonder what it meant that human children, their young, their inexperienced, their innocent, played at being apex predators and excelled at it.